DJ Still Do back again, doing another episode of Record Crates and Rabbit Holes for y'all. I'm going to go ahead and get this pen in my bag. Alright, so today is a very special episode. This is episode 20. Pretty excited to already kind of get this far, and so I wanted to talk about something very special. I have a very special album that is close to my heart, and a funny story behind it as well. So this is Them. This is the first Themselves record that they came out with. I believe it was maybe 98. Let's just go with 98, alright? Because I don't know. There's not a whole lot of information, as you can see. The song list on the back is Black on Black. Go! And, hold on one second. Get on! And yeah, so it's Black on Black. The album is called Them. This is the first Themselves album. It's got really, really wild artwork on the whole inside. And this was something that I picked up after being turned on to Themselves. I'd heard the No music of AIFF, A-I-F-F, and I'd also heard the other album, which was the No music that they did, which was a lot of like soundscape stuff. There was some actual kind of hip hop and stuff, but a lot of it was a lot more, like I said, soundscape, and I don't know. It was it's not hip hop totally, but it's very interesting. It's headphone music. It's really cool when you're listening to it by yourself on your headphones. You're stuck on the bus or whatever. It's interesting. And anyway, they did the No music, and then they had a lot of the different affiliates and other artists, friends that are on their record label, Anticon, each kind of remix a song, but Walt kind of had that same feel. So that's kind of like a tandem double album, and that was the first that I'd heard of Themselves. And I remember getting an iPod for Christmas, and you know, the iTunes gift cards and that and whatever, and this was on iTunes, so I bought it on iTunes, and I loved it. I listened to it a ton, man. I've always really enjoyed this album. This album is it's great. I mean, it's songs. It's all songs that they did, all original material, and it's just really cool. It definitely showcases Dose One as being able to rap and being able to be a lyricist and talk about something and be interesting. His vocabulary is huge. I think that's part of what I really liked about it. It wasn't just the same tired song about, you know, being in the hood or whatever. Not that that's bad, but you know, it's refreshing to see someone else go with their perspective, and he's a lot more I don't know, I just think it's artistic, it's cool. A lot of people don't like Dose One's voice. It's kind of nasally, but if you can get past that, he's always saying something really interesting, and he chooses a really clever way to say it. So anyway, Them is solid front to back. I originally got it on iTunes. Then I remember going to, when I moved out to Texas, they did a show in Denton, and I went up to Denton and saw them and bought, you know, most of the stuff on CD again, and got them to sign it. And then so I'd had it on iTunes and CD, and then when I started collecting vinyl, I knew this was one of the records I really wanted to get. So then I started to look up. There is no new copies anywhere, and used ones they can get really expensive. So I bucked up and went ahead and spent, I think I spent like $45 on a used copy, which would be this one. And then when I get it in the mail, it's a double LP, so you know, you'd have side A, B, side C, D, and I get it in the mail and open it up, and for whatever reason I got C and D and C and D again, And as cool as that might be, there's tracks, you know, within the first 6 songs, especially song number 6, Lyrical Kugel. I always really loved that beat a lot. So when I opened it up, I don't know, I felt gypped. I contacted the guy. I think, I can't remember if I bought it off. I think the first copy was off of eBay, and he just kind of shrugged his shoulders like, oh, I'll look around for it. Of course he didn't. Who cares? He already got my money. So then I'm like, crap. Because it's not mission complete, you know. This is one of those albums I've listened to a ton, and I couldn't wait to just have a real physical copy of it on vinyl. So kept my eye out, you know. There wasn't even really another one available online, nor could I afford to spend with what it cost for a while. And kept looking. I think about 6 months later, this copy pops up in Japan. As you can tell, the cover's kind of crappy. So I said, screw it, $65, ordered it from Japan, paid the stupid shipping also, and waited forever for it to get here. And then opened it up, and thank God it had side A, B, and then side C and D. So between the two of these, I have one nice jacket and side A and side C. And now, so I guess that would make 8 records for these 2 copies right here. But the kicker is I've only got one of side A, B. So I've got a side A and B, and then I've got 3 copies of side C and D. Which is okay, because then I know that I can kind of not worry about playing those out and wearing them out and enjoying them. But yeah, so this one, and it took me, when I wanted to do this episode, I couldn't find where I'd hid this record jacket to keep safe. And so then I had to go dig through, I mean, I only have, what, 5 or 6 crates, but I had to go dig through all of them and then look at my stacks on the side of the wall and the stacks near the other player to try and figure out what the hell I even did with this. Because I remember putting away and thinking like, alright, you know, what I'm going to play off of it and everything, we'll just all keep it in here. So I've got side A and B and C, D, and then an extra CD in here, just so that the other nice record jacket isn't getting just blown out all the time. And so then I went ahead and figured it was probably in my best kept crate, which would be my punk rock crate, because that's all listening only. I'm not DJing any of that or mixing over break beats or doing any kind of routine or anything. That's all just listener stuff. So I went ahead and just, you know, decided to go through and look through the punk rock crate, even though it didn't make any sense at the time, and sure enough, there it was. Which also leads me to the next episode that I pulled up that I'll do today, which is the Frantics. My dad's a fucking alcoholic. Next episode in just a minute here. Tune into that. That's got some cool information. But back to the matter at hand. Them is awesome. It's Gel, Jeffrey Logan, and Dose One, Adam Drucker, and this is at its finest. So they came out, I think they'd originally met up or something and done a couple songs together, and you can hear one of the best ones on this CD. This is Hemispheres by Dose One. Awesome tape. This was the first thing I think I'd gotten a burn CD of some of the tracks off of this, mixed with some of the other guest stuff that he did with like Slug from Atmosphere, and he'd done some other songs with people. Aesop Rock, who's on Float with Aesop Rock on that album. But anyway, when I first got my iPod, of course I was listening to a lot, taking it everywhere, and then this was one of those albums that I guess I really liked also because is indie, is independent hip hop right here, and it's real underground, and a lot of people hadn't heard it. I guess I must have picked it up 7 years after it came out, but I got it as soon as I could, you know, and it was it was awesome. And so Themselves came out with Them. Then I guess a year later they came out with the No Music, and then did the No Music AIFFs, No Music AIFs, or however you say that shit. And then after that, even though they were touring and performing and coming out with other stuff, Gel came out with a lot of solo stuff. Dose One did a lot more other solo stuff. You didn't see the band, you didn't see Themselves come out and do anything again till like 10 years later, which was when they came out with this really cool album called The Free Houdini. And there was a few of the songs that I think you could download for free off of the record label website. But of course, when they toured, that was the new thing. And I bought the Free Houdini Deluxe on CD, which is a really kick-ass CD. It's got a lot of, it's cool because they really blended a lot of the feel from the early, more organized song work, and then used a lot of sounds and noises and different things like that, and samples that they'd made from the No Music, and kind of made it really feel like a mixtape. And you put it on and played, and it was really cool because it had like Bus Driver on there, and Soul, and Aesop Rock, and Buck 65, and oh man, there's this one track I'm trying to remember right now, and I just can't. Who's on it with him? But there is a couple of really, really good songs on that, and that was all coming out to promote the whole next album that they were doing called Crowns Down. So there was 3 or 4 really good songs from Crowns Down that they, if you bought the deluxe CD, those were in the middle. And like I said, everything flowed very coherently all the way through. But still totally was obviously a Themselves album, which is what you want. Like, you really get a taste of their own flavor. And if you've never seen them live, you've got to see them live. They put on one of the best shows. They're super entertaining. They take it as being entertainers, and it's awesome. They've got skits. The banter's funny. They're doing jokes. They'll do songs you know. They'll tweak a song that's their own that you know, and so it's all just very live, and a lot of it almost feels like improv. And Dose One, we went and saw him twice. Both times he came to Denton. They came to Denton, and you know, he'd jump off the stage and get in the crowd, and I remember it was really funny. I think it was the second time we saw him. They were touring with Idea and Abilities, and they were opening for Idea and Abilities, which is a Rhymesayers duo. I mean, rest in peace, Idea. And by the time we got to see him when they put out their latest, and I guess what would be their last album. And so Themselves opened up, and I remember we're standing there, and they're kind of getting everyone's attention, and Gel's kind of, you know, warming up and starting to, because with Gel, he plays the drum machine live. He doesn't just hit play and press loops. Like, he's got his other things that he loops and drums live with it, which is really cool. He's he's killer on the drum pad. You've seen some other people maybe that do that, and he does it really, really well. And anyway, so Gel is kind of warming up and starting, and then I remember Dose One shouts out, "Who's drinking whiskey?" And, you know, a couple people, woo, it's Texas, people love whiskey out here. And he's like, all right. He goes, hold it up. And, you know, a few people kind of raise their drink up thinking they're kind of like cheersing or something like that. And he just hops off the stage and walks up to this girl, just takes her whiskey right out of her hand and turns around and drinks it, and then gets back on the stage and is like, all right, well, they roll into the set. Like, that's how they open. They just walked up, and he just took somebody's drink, and then the show started. It was really awesome. It was very entertaining with that, because they were kind of promoting the new Crowns Down album. If you'd seen it, I might have it right over here, but if you've seen it, they painted like a cardboard city, and that was their whole props, was all this cardboard cutouts and painted on it to look like different buildings, and they kind of staggered some of it so it kind of layered, and they did like a fake encore in the middle where they walked behind it, and it was awesome. Like, getting to see them was super entertaining. You know, it was one of those things where when you listen to an artist and you really like them and what they do and what they put out, and then when you meet them and they're not a total dick, they're actually kind of what you'd hoped their personality would really be like live. And so that was really cool to get to see them. And then especially that second time, getting to see them, and at the end of the night, Gel and DJ Abilities played together, and then Idea rapped and freestyled and stuff, and that was one of those things I knew right when it was going on. Like, I wasn't going to get to see again. A lot of other people might never get to see it again, and so that was very, very cool. And then on a side note, I got to get my copy of Fantastic Damage, which was LP's first solo album after Company Flow, and all the Fun Crusher stuff and all that kick-ass stuff that he was putting out with Big Juss and Mr. Len. I got to get Fantastic Damage autographed by DJ Abilities, because he did a lot of work on that album, and no one really knows it, because when you listen to Idea and Abilities and then you listen to Fantastic Damage, it doesn't have that real classic DJ Abilities sound, but that's because DJ Abilities was paying homage to Company Flow and to what LP had already done. So they did it new and they did it different, and LP had his own full songs about stuff, not just about kind of battle rapping and other things like that. You know, he was telling more stories. He had something different to say, and it really worked with DJ Abilities. And it was cool because when I came up and told him how much I really liked the album, listened to it a lot, and I really loved the music, and when I read the liner notes, that's when I saw his name, and I asked him if he would autograph it, and when he did, he said that that was the first copy of Fantastic Damage he'd ever signed. He said no one ever really acknowledges him for doing that, or really more importantly is what it comes down to, is no one ever opened it up and read the liner notes and saw his name in there, because it's not like LP was trying to steal all this credit or anything. It's just people just weren't paying attention, and or maybe they saw that and didn't know who he was. Maybe they didn't listen to any of the other Rhymesayers stuff, which happens. So that was just a really, really cool show. And so as the 20th episode of Record Crates and Rabbit Holes, I definitely wanted to go on and on and on down the trail about themselves, about them, about having to buy them 4 times to finally get all the formats. And of course, if you ever buy anything on iTunes, watch out, because they lose licensing rights and don't renew them, and then the music that you bought off there gets deleted off your library when you update it. So fuck updating iTunes, fuck buying your music on iTunes. Unless if you absolutely have to get a good quality, you buy it and use it as a placeholder. Do not buy your music on iTunes. Go to your record store, go to your local record stores, ask them if they can order it, get it on CD, do anything but give your money to Apple. That is my own little soapbox right here for 5 seconds since I'm on my show. But seriously, because I bought this album, I bought some stuff from Typical Cats. What's some of the other stuff that just vanished? I mean, I bought some really cool stuff on iTunes, and then, you know, a couple years later, all of a sudden it's just gone. I mean, it's not even like it's on your library and you click and it doesn't play. I mean, gone. And I know that because I don't hook up my old iPod and sync it. I don't do that anymore. I got the old school one with the built-in battery, and you just charge it and drain it, charge it and drain it. That's another thing that they didn't like, is how long those things last. I got that thing in 2005. It's 12 years later and it works. It's like they wanted to do built-in obsolescence. They want your music to be on the cloud. It's bullshit. You don't get to own anything. Apple makes great computers, but the rest of their devices suck. But they got a phone, but the camera's good. You want a good camera? Go buy a fucking camera. Those phones are like $900. You know what kind of camera you can get for $900? So anyway, again, now you get to find out what the rabbit hole really means in the title. I'm going to go off every once in a while. But bringing it back, circling it back, awesome. This is grade A underground hip hop. It's conscious, but a lot of it's really whimsical too, you know? Like when you hear some of the songs on here, there's things from like Grass Skirt Fruit Hat, Revenge of the Fern. You know, those are a little bit more kind of whimsical, and like so is another part of the Clown's Brain. That one's kind of wild. It's interesting though, and that's what I like about it, is he kind of went and, you know, songwriting, you know, like they are writing songs and making beats to match, and some of the stuff, if you've like I did Greenball already by Gel, the first Greenball, some of those beats later ended up on them, and he wrote lyrics that matched the song or matched the beat already or went with the name, like Grass Skirt and Fruit Hat. I think that was just called Grass Skirt before. John Brown's Vaporizer. I'm trying to remember what that was called before, but that was on there too. But some of the beats on here are just amazing. Eating Homework, Lyrical Kugel. I really liked Death of a Thespian. That one's actually a really, really good. The lyrics in that are really good. You can tell it's poetry. It's very poetic. It's Them, that was already a song that was on Greenball. But anyway, yeah, the album artwork's super wild. It's kind of fun when on the CD version in the back you open it up and it's got their high school graduation photos, and you kind of get to see what they look like when they're all young. But anyway, this album is amazing. It's been worth every time. It's kind of like you get some of those that you buy, like I think I've bought, you know, Enter the 36 Chambers by Wu-Tang. I think I've bought that like 5 times. My friend's bought it like 10 times, but that's because he treats his CDs like shit. I bought it as a used CD, got it home, there was a scratch. Then I got it as a new CD to avoid the scratches. Then when I wanted it on record, and I guess I'll talk about that one day too, but I bought it, and I was up at one of the big electronic stores, and those dipshits were putting vinyl in the calendar rack thing and filling them to the brim, and I was still very new to buying vinyl, so I didn't know. I thought it was good, you know, it was shrink wrap, brand new. You take it home, that thing was warped. Like, you could surf on part of that thing. It was completely fucking warped, and it played really weird. And, you know, there was parts of it where you couldn't scratch and you couldn't drop, because if you pulled it back, the needle just hit that bump and flew wherever. And then when it played, it looked weird. It kind of sped up and slowed down, and so then I went and bought another copy of that. And now the only thing that warped one's good for is doing some kind of routine off of a, you know, Shame on a Nigga, because thank God, you know, ODB is really badass to drop, because he always comes in on his verse real loud, you know, so when you're playing with that, you can, blah, how you like me now, and stuff like that. You can slam right into it, but that freaking warped one, useless. God, that pissed me off. So again, you know, go to real record stores. Don't all the shit at Best Buy, you know. I mean, if that's really what you want, cool, or if it's there, but go find a real record store and give them your business if that's what you're into. Thankfully up here, you know, CD World closed, but we've got, you know, down the street from my house, I've got good records. They're awesome. All the guys that work there are super knowledgeable about music. They got tons of stuff. They'll order what you don't have. And then up the road, we've got Josie Records out here. And Josie Records is amazing. Those guys do great. Constantly bringing in new stuff. Categorized real well. Reasonably priced. I think they've got their own record label now, and they're putting out stuff for local artists. So, again, fuck Apple, fuck iTunes. Go to your local record store and buy some real shit. And ask them if they can order it. Find out if they can order a copy of them, because it's worth it. It's one of those. It's a collector. It's a rarity. It's solid. It's a great listen. It's worth it. It's well produced, and just a well thought out album. You know, and again, I mean, if you can get past the rapper's voice, he's always got something to say, and it's interesting. It's more than just amusing, and it's more than just being able to flow well over a beat. He talks about, you know, whether he's writing a story or reading a poem or whatever, or if you ever are curious if he really is a battle rapper or whatever, then you got to go and you got to get Hemispheres. Dose One dropped this whole album. I think it's 10 or 12 tracks, that battle rap style, you know, and Mr. Len's on here, Mr. Dibbs is on here, Jay Rawls is on here, Actual Solar's on here, Lioness is on here. So he did this, and then, you know, he didn't have anything more to prove. He doesn't need to prove anything. You know, if you want to know if he can battle, you want to know if he can rap, go look him up on YouTube. Watch him smoke Eminem when he battles him. Yeah, that's right. Him and Eminem battled before Eminem really came up. And Eminem is badass, man. And if you ever really want to see something cool, type in Juice versus Eminem. You'll be blown away. That's another dude you want to check out. You want to know something about rap? Look up Juice from Chicago. MC Juice. And then, you know, huge props to Eminem, dude. Eminem can battle. Eminem can really battle. You know, if you never heard Infinite, he killed it, right? I mean, right from the get-go. I'm pretty sure that's what tuned in Dr. Dre's ear to know that he had to work with this dude. And they started doing more song stuff and being a little bit more, I wouldn't call it pop because it's not pop culture, but he kind of started slamming more pop culture instead of just rapping and battle rapping. But anyway, you know, you think this is just out of nowhere and he's a nobody, you're wrong. I mean, you know, and they're out in Oakland, they're doing it, man. They do Bonnaroo, they do all the big festivals, they go play in Germany. I mean, themselves, check it out. I think that's about it for this episode. I think probably good. Anyway, number one. This is the first one that they put out. I love it. I recommend it. And especially if you're into independent hip hop or, you know, listening to this. Like I said, some people get tuned out by his voice, but that's not what I'm listening to. I'm listening to what he's saying. I'm listening to the beat, the way that he raps over it, and it's clever. He's very, very clever. So don't let it go over your head. Don't let it miss you. And again, support your local record stores, damn it. That's what's important. Even if you got to go in the used section, or even if you just go hang out there, you know. Do it. All right. I'm out.